Hi guys, how are you? Welcome to another Smartpreneur Live with me, Tallulah. Thank you so much for joining us. So today's going to be a very special episode. We're going to be talking about SME partnerships and collaborations with the founder of What Next Coach. Her name is Stephanie Anyamele. Okay, so let me see if Stephanie's here so we can start the conversation. Stephanie, are you with us? Oh, Stephanie's here, nice and early. We're just waiting for Stephanie to join us. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined already. Nice to see you guys again this week. So we're just waiting. Stephanie, hi, how are you?
Hi, Tallulah.
How's it going?
Good. How are
You're
you?
looking so bright and vibrant. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you.
Right, so let's get straight into it. There's some people here already. I'm sure more will join us as we,
Of course.
as we proceed with our chat.
Yeah, that's
But I'm going to go through your bio, so everyone who's here can get to know you a little bit better before we get into the conversation. So you are Stephanie Anyamele. Am I saying your surname correctly?
Yes, well done.
Thank you. You are a chartered accountant and an SME consultant with over 7 years experience in financial advisory, operations management, and business strategy. Very impressive. So you're also the founder of What Next Coach, which is how I've come to know you. A membership platform that equips small business owners with the resources, expertise, and community to build lucrative businesses that can stand the test of time. I love, what's there about standing the test of time. So I feel with businesses, it's so much excitement, in the startup phase, but it's really, that having that staying power can sometimes be a bit of an issue. So I love that you do that. And you're also the principal consultant at Charles Ardit and Company, which is a boutique management consulting firm that partners with owners, leaders, and managers of SMEs to improve the financial and operational health of their businesses.
That's me.
Amazing. So we're going to unpack all of that. You've worked with over 100 SMEs in Nigeria. That's very, very impressive. And you've also collaborated with the likes of She Leads Africa and SWEC. Am I saying it correctly? And
SWEC so SWEC actually stands for SME Women's Exclusive Club, and it's run by Adosa Microfinance Bank. So yeah.
Fantastic. And you're not new to the media space. You've been featured on the BBC, in Business Day, Nigeria Info FM, and other media platforms as well. So we are so happy here on Smartpreneur to have
Thank you for having me.
here with us today. So I just want to dive right in, and I want to get just a sense, because here we just we speak freely. I want to get a sense of from your work with various SMEs. What are the mistakes that you see SMEs making time and time again that are easily avoidable?
Okay, so mistakes that I see SMEs making all the time. Why? Just as you pointed out, well, you see what we do at What Next Coach is very important. That standing the test of time. A lot of people start businesses for different reasons. Obviously, you want to make money, but sometimes it can start from, a point of this is my last option. So you find that people just want to get cash in, and there's no thought to, is this business going to last longer than today or a month or a year? So from the beginning, there's already usually things you see like poor financial management. So where you can't do your own finances or do your own numbers, at least know the basics. And then as soon as you can, outsource that, right? So there's usually the poor financial management. You have, if I had a penny for every time someone says to me, my biggest challenge is like record keeping. And it's funny because when people talk about keeping appropriate records, especially financial records in their business, it's really because everyone's trying to dodge the administrative work of it. There is no way around it, guys. You have to sit down with those numbers and figure it out. There is no simple, easy way. People just want to sleep and have it done. Unless you have the resources to have someone monitor that for you 24/7 in the initial stages as a business owner, you have to do that. So there's the record keeping aspect. And then it also leads on to when people then want to grow and they want to go for funding, because you haven't been keeping appropriate records, no one can actually attest to the fact that your business has been doing anything. Because there are people who could be easily making 10 million a month, Tallulah, but there is no proof.
Wow.
There is no, you can show me your bank statement, but if it's not even your business's bank account, it's your personal one. So again, there's no separation. How do you prove that? Like, there are actually a lot of SMEs making good money, but they can't prove that.
Oh, that's okay.
My bad. Sorry, I pulled it through. Yeah. So, you find that there's so many making good money, but they can't actually prove that. So from record keeping to just also the separation of business finances. So you find those are some common mistakes. The second as well then is, or the next sort of mistake that I see happening often is, I guess, I don't know if it's now because of the social media age and the push for digital marketing, which of course the reach is wider, but you find that the average business owner doesn't realize that the real hustle is in the marketing. If nobody knows what you have to offer, and it's not enough to open an Instagram. A lot of people now think it's let me open an Instagram page or let me open a page and that's it. No, actually have. I mean, you know how we met. I was in your DMs.
You were in my DMs
about something else, and then you're like, oh, actually, come on. So you have to literally, you can't rest on your laurels, right?
And
I get featured on this. Yeah,
can I practice your point? I'm so sorry to say, but I love the way, yes, you were in my DMs, but the way you were in my DMs, you just came so correct, you know? You're like, oh, hello, this is who I am, da, 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 da. And I was like, I just get hello, and I didn't even respond, but I'm like, what am I going to say to that? You know, it was so comprehensive.
Hours.
Yeah, you had all the information that would, you know, that if it was something that would just catch my attention, I at least read through, because I think most people do read through most to all of the DMs that they get, but if it's not saying anything, then it's not really, you know, there's no content there to respond to. So I love what you did.
Exactly. Yeah. So the real hustle is in the marketing, because you can have a fantastic product, but no one knows about it. You know, recently I was an interview, I was on Channels TV, an interview was done on me. And it's funny how even people close to me didn't actually realize the depth of the work that I do, but they're close to me. I talk to them about it all the time, but maybe because it's me. Right? Maybe because it's me. So it even showed me that I have to push more. I can't even say because, oh, I've been featured in this and this, that everybody knows what I do. On top of that, I've just even come back from a year of maternity leave. So I have to like push even harder. So the real hustle is in marketing. Tell everybody, let everybody that is relevant, who's in your target audience, they need to know. So that's another mistake. People just kind of chilling and just saying, oh, I have an Instagram page, you know, or I've shared it once. Sometimes you have to keep reminding people. Don't, you know, rest on that. Exactly. Another thing as well is, I know we talk about structure is kind of like the current buzzword in the SME community, and it's important, right? But I want to just touch on something called the business hierarchy of needs, which an entrepreneur in America, a popular guy, his name is Mike Michalowicz, he came up with this concept called the business hierarchy of needs, right? And it's similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs for human beings, where you start with the base level of you just need, you know, food, water, the essentials before you start thinking of job and then thinking of fulfillment, etc. Now, on the baseline, as a business, you start, so with the business hierarchy of needs, the first is sales, then you go up to profit, then you start thinking of order, which is where the structure comes in, and then you start thinking of impact and legacy. A lot of small businesses now, because we're talking about structure, are kind of missing the order. Here's the fact: if your business is not pulling in the sales that you need, you're not even close to making profit, you're not yet ready to think of structure to that degree, right?
Yeah.
So let your focus be, let's be making money, because it's from money that you then start becoming profitable. Then you have money to put in order, because order requires people, it requires investing in processes, it requires more automation, which all cost money. So another thing is people focusing on the wrong thing at different times. And again, I guess really it's the age we're in, where everybody's trying to sell the service they have. So they tell you, this must be your problem, when actually it's not. Actually it's not. I just need to find my right audience and keep selling and make stable income first before I start thinking of all these other things, right? So there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of wrong, I wouldn't say wrong reasons that people go into business, but it contributes, you know. So if you are in a tight spot, entrepreneurship should not be the first thing, right? That you are, it's not, when I say it shouldn't be the first thing, like if you try to set up a business out of desperation, it's going to be really, 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 really tough, because you will give up, right? So even if you want to start a new business, you want to do something, and at least start with what you have. I had a conversation with a lady recently, and she was talking about how she wanted to invest in these machines that basically like kill chickens and clean them for you, and then she can supply them. And I said, well, you don't have the money. You don't have anything to, you know, get investors to believe in you. Can you start with what you have? Can you identify customers who want chicken regularly in bulk? Can you identify a bunch of small-time farmers, for example, that have chickens they need to sell, and be that middle person?
That makes sense,
You know, even if you don't save up the money for the machines from that, you can actually start and say, I have a track record. I have customers. I have this. Now, if you invest in my business, if I was supplying 100 chickens a month, now I can do 1,000, right? So there's a lot. Nobody really wants to be the beginner anymore. Everyone wants to be the expert. But this game requires humility. That's just the truth, right? So those are just a few things on a base. There's so many more, but that's just some of the common recurring themes
that you see. I can identify with so much of what you were saying, especially in terms of the marketing, because I fall into that trap, and I have friends who fall into that exact trap. And like, you're like, my product is so amazing. I've done all this research. I know this is the best thing ever. And you're sort of waiting for people to find you, not realizing that nobody was really going to do that.
Everybody's
you have to put in
thinking
the
of their own thing. You have to go into their space and let them know you're there. There's no way around that.
That you just given us so much honesty, and it's just the beginning. I love it. I love candid business. So I hope you guys in the comments are going to, you know, take notes, send questions, because we still have a whole lot to go through. So I want to talk about you, because I always like to know about, you know, the person behind the service, or, you know, the business. And I want to just talk about what sort of sparked your interest in entrepreneurship, and what made you sort of want to be of service and want to help, because, you know, in your role, really, you're almost like you're a coach, you know what I mean? So you help people take their businesses to the next level. So what has been the driving force behind you, Stephanie, and behind the company What Next Coach?
Great. Okay, so if we take the journey back, so a bit of background about me. I used to be I studied accounting and finance at uni. As soon as I graduated, I went straight into one of the big four in the UK. So I used to be a financial auditor, and that's where I became a chartered accountant. So from the get-go, I was dealing with businesses. I was just thrown straight into the world of professional services. So because I worked for Big Four, you know, with bigger companies, they're always looking for ways to help smaller companies, apart from our actual big clients. So I used to get involved a lot in things like when they do their Entrepreneur of the Year programs, when they go into the communities and actually want to, you know, invest services and give that expertise to other businesses. So from doing that on top of my day job, I started to realize that actually, you know, this is fun. And I realized something about myself. So recently on my consulting end, I signed on to be a contract like CFO for one of my clients. And I remember during the interview, they asked me, what drives you? Like, why would you want to do this and get involved? And I realized that I'm a builder. I like building things. And I like building other people's things too. So the fun part for me is seeing that there's something in your head, you bring it out, and then trying to make that work. Now, when I was then getting ready to come to Nigeria after I left, so I worked at my previous employers for about 5 years. And when I left, I actually started dealing with SMEs first in the UK. I got involved with organizations like Enterprise Nation, which then even threw me further into the midst of small businesses. And I saw the support that they were giving these businesses, and I thought, this is fantastic. And I was always coming to Nigeria anyway, so I wasn't like detached or anything. So I knew that we didn't quite have something like this. So then I moved back to Nigeria end of 2017. So the whole of 2018 was when I started just putting myself out there and saying, this is what I can do. This is how I am, overcoming those initial barriers. Because honestly, people thought that some people thought I had it easy because I could use an accent. I'm like, actually makes it harder. So I had to start breaking it down, like trying to talk because people would just be like, oh, you think because you're talking with an accent, it gives us any license to listen to you? No. So it really made me like, for me to be able to also to be relatable to the people I'm trying to help as well. Yes, I have to really just no airs and be like, I just want to help you. So I did a lot of free work, a lot.
Free, like you didn't charge anything.
Nobody knows you. Like, and then I didn't even realize how big the SME coaching consulting, like especially on Instagram, it was allowed. So I thought, oh yeah, this is a fight. I'm gonna have to find a way to get involved, in there. You know. So it was the sacrifice I made, and I said, you know what? I'm still, at least I hadn't gotten married, so I was still in my parents' house. So I knew that I had a bit of comfort. To be fair, if we're gonna be honest, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, I had some, it was such a tough journey. I did have a bit of a cushion to experiment with, which I'm grateful for. So at least it allowed me to go out and just try and help people without thinking I'm going to die of hunger if I don't charge these people.
I understand.
So that's how I then got into it. So I started off with trying to do the one-to-ones and realizing, okay, that's probably not the most profitable model. So, I'd speak in places. So people started to at least know that I was there, that a brand, What Next Coach, was there. So that's it. That's, I guess, how I got into it. So I started with the experience in my previous employers, and then actually on the ground, meeting businesses, talking to them, understanding the needs, understanding the unique business environment of Nigeria as well, because that is a huge part of the problem for a lot of businesses, to be fair. So that I hope that answers at least the beginning. I'm sure we'll tease out more.
That answers it really well. I love everything you said, and I want to pick out what you talked about in terms of working for free, because I think sometimes when you believe in yourself, because you have the experience, and you've done so much in the UK, but you also had a humility. So you didn't think, oh, I've done all this and now I'm coming to Nigeria, so who are they not to pay me up front? Do you not know who I am? You work with one of the big four. I used to live in the UK as well, and I understand I get abused by my accent a lot, and I used to when I first moved back a lot. And so I relate to so much of what you're saying about acclimatizing and sort of trying to break your way in, but having to do it in a way where you have to become more relatable. So you didn't just say, take me as I am. I can, I have this accent. I don't have to switch it up. You actually switched it up in order to sort of be able to communicate more effectively with the people that you're trying to help. So thank you. I think so many lessons in that, and so much that I can.
And just to add though, I did actually start off with can you guys not see who I am? In my head, to be fair. It's not like I'd go and be like, hello, like this is me, right? But I didn't have to be a genius to realize I wouldn't get very far with that in Nigeria. So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to go down to the barest minimum. I remember one time I went to deliver a session with, some like an organization. They wanted me to come in and speak to a cohort of business owners they had. And in my presentation, because like you said, you want to know a bit of who's talking to you and why they're qualified to talk to you. So I just had a mini slide, just introduction. This is who I am. This is what I've done. This is where I've been. And so I asked them for feedback afterwards, in which they gave like anonymously, and no, not anonymously. Someone said it to my face, and she goes, I don't think you need to tell us everything you've done. Like you have it. So like, why are you like, in essentially she was saying like, why am I sharing my accolades? But it wasn't in a we believe you way. It was more, it was a bit cynical. Like, I don't know if cynical is the word, but I could tell that the intention behind it was maybe not necessarily to make me feel bad, but it was almost why do you have to tell us everything you've done? And that was not the point of the slide. It took me like a while to recover from that, if I'm honest, because every other presentation I did, I didn't want to put that slide, because I was like, if people are thinking that I'm gloating when I'm just trying to show receipts that I know what I'm talking about, this is going to be difficult. It took me a while, honestly. So many things will break your spirit, but you have to keep going, and that's just the fact. I've had people like, I'm a mom of a 10-month-old, and people still ask me, how is school? I'm like, I graduated close to how many years ago?
It's good. It
People
means you
still
look
ask
young,
me.
you look glowing, and people don't.
Yes, yes. And I'll appreciate it maybe when I'm a bit older. But right now, I've had people who want to work with me on paper, and when they come, oh, you're so young. I'm like, what's that? I'm not even that young. I just look that young.
Look.
Like, so different things. I've had to crawl in my hole, get it together, come back out. So it's not been the easiest journey. Someone is laughing.
No, but I'm happy that you're honest about what you've faced and the challenges that you've gone through, because I feel like, you know, in whatever profession, people go through so much, and sometimes it's like we only share the glory and we don't share the like, you know, the stresses and the strains and all of that. So I'm happy you're sharing this. This is real life. This is how it is out there in the big bad world. So thank you so much for sharing all about
You're
that.
welcome.
So now we have some questions, and we're going to go to common questions in a moment, but I still have to sort of go through what we've researched. I want to talk about business challenges and addressing business challenges via SME partnerships, because I feel like sometimes it can be very, you know, political in terms of, you know, brands collaborating. There's always like, you know, especially with SMEs, we're always gauging each other. Okay, does this person have a followers on Instagram? This one's a small brand. Not me. I have 50,000 followers. When you have 2,000 followers, let me not even put myself there in case, you know, all these things are unsaid, but they go through the minds of entrepreneurs. So how do you think entrepreneurs can collaborate, especially in, you know, this period where there's a backdrop of COVID, the backdrop of, you know, all the social injustices that are happening in the world? It's just been a bit of a crazy year, actually, in terms of, you know, all the issues that have come up. So, you know, businesses are struggling to make sales and to sort of keep their visibility up. So how can partnerships help with those two things?
Yes. Okay. So especially now, it's funny because I found that in this COVID period, a lot of people are more open to collaborations, because it's been, not that it's been a leveler, but I think everybody has realized like none of us are, if is indispensable the word I'm looking for, like any of us can be hit, right? Big or small. And I found like, so while before I sort of pushed out the community again, I reached out to a few brands, which I can say who they are because they're on board with What Next Coach. Because one of the things I really wanted to be in the community was I wanted something that would help business owners save money on certain business essentials, whether that's like printing or websites or just something, right? So I reached out to a few cold emails, honestly, like I didn't want to feel like I was over manipulating the situation by like trying to find people to connect. So I said, you know what, I'll shoot my shot. And the good thing though is because I also patronize like SMEs and some of these brands. So a good way was to introduce the fact that I already either use your product or I've interacted with something you do. So for example, we have DIY Law on board, you know, because they've done like my tin, I've done some stuff. So they're going to give like discounts to our community. You know, I have Prosper on board. So Prosper is actually, they're new-ish, but they're like a digital bank for SMEs. So you can literally start your, open your business account as long as you're like registered. And even if you're not registered, they can help you with that. But sort out your business account in like 5 minutes flat without going anywhere. So they've also given a coupon code for some like discounts for our members. And all these were honestly just from like sending cold emails and then trying to find win-wins, right? So technically they are bigger brands than What Next Coach, but I have a rule that I must try and find a win-win. I'm not saying do something for me for free, but can we have a win-win situation, right? So now to answer the question of, okay, so how can SMEs do this practically, whether it's with one another or bigger brands? Like I said, start with the win-win. What do you want? Because sometimes people think partnerships and they just want the social capital that comes with the other brand, but the brand too is making money. No matter, even Dangote is still looking for money. So the big brand that you want to work with is still looking for money or still looking for exposure, or maybe they've got some CSR thing that is important to them. Can you link with that rather than trying to do, oh, I'm a poor little SME, can you, like, nobody cares, go hustle. Like, you know, so you start with what's a win-win, what do they want? So if you need to do a bit of research, go that route, right? Now, if we're talking SME to SME, so another example that I can use from What Next Coach. So we have some advisors on board who they've come on board to be like, when you're a member, you have access to them. Because again, another thing that was important for us is that when you're a member, you have real access to advisors, not just they come do a masterclass. They're there. You can chat with them. They can probably upsell you, but at least they'll be able to answer basic questions. And we trust them, we vet them. I'm taking the risk of saying, if I tell you this person knows their stuff, I mean it. So me going to them and getting them to come on board was that win-win of, look, we both want SMEs. Can we work together? You have an audience, I have a bit of an audience. Can we sort of meet in the middle, pull that all in and make something bigger? And for me, anybody who's worked with me personally knows that a lot of times I'm just doing things for other people. So the platform really is more about other people. It's not like a platform for me to upsell my services. I'm doing this for everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So it's finding that middle ground and saying, look, you want this, I have this, I want this, you have this. Can we, right? Let's find something. And approach is really important. Like you mentioned at the beginning, how I came into your DMs. You have to really think it through and think because it's a person behind whatever brand. If it's not a big brand, it's your fellow SME, it's a person. They want something. So you have to really know, or at least have an idea, put yourself in their shoes. Like if you were to approach you for what you're proposing, does it make sense? Would you be willing to say yes? And then you work from there. So then if you're looking at the ones of, say, maybe you want to work with a page, someone with an Instagram page that has so many followers, right? It can be tricky because if I'm honest, I've gotten a lot of Ella. I don't have many followers in comparison to some brands, right? And I take it on the chin. I learn from it, and I see if they give me a response, I take it and say, okay, maybe I'll package something and come back better. I don't take it personally because if they've worked to get to 50K, 100K, why should I be entitled for them to help me, right? They've worked it and they've got. So either I say, okay, look, you have an audience that you connect with. I have something to offer that audience. Can I come and maybe are you willing to let me speak? Can I offer my value? And then that sort of thing. So you really have to think it through, but don't be entitled. Basically, when you approach partnerships or collaborations, everyone is doing you a favor once they say yes. Just take it like that and don't abuse the access just because someone has said we can. Don't then people. I find that a problem that I would say that character-wise in Nigeria that we have is we don't honor people. We don't honor what people stand for. Once you get some access to them, you treat it like it's nothing, and that is a huge barrier. If you don't respect what someone carries, how we say like someone carries the anointing, but you see someone is good at what they do, and then you manage to get some access, and then you want to act like it's nothing, you immediately just you close that channel without realizing. So it's things like that, just respecting what people stand for and not being entitled to it, and just being appreciative of the fact that they are okay with it. So that's just basic ways I would say to approach the collaboration. I don't have a formula. I just sit, I think, I get inspiration from different things and I try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I take what didn't work and tweak it and try again. But you have to keep going. The hustle is in the marketing.
I love that. I just, I can really relate to you and what you said, especially, in terms of when you get access to people, do not abuse it. Because I feel like, like you said, sometimes you get access to somebody who, can be pivotal in what you're trying to do. And they do one favor for you. And then you're just, I see people just taking it too far. And I'm like, no, that's eroding the relationship. If, someone's been gracious enough, like you said, to grant you access or to help you out or to connect you with somebody else who can move, your business forward. Don't overdo this. And another thing, and I'm not, no.
And then, and the worst part is when you haven't even offered anything in return. You're just asking. Like,
relationships are so important. I have to say, in terms of everything that you do, especially in business, you know what I mean? Is people just think, I just have to ask this person and they do it for me. But it's as human beings, we are built to sort of thrive on relationships. It's not a mechanical thing of do this. I mean, it's just not going to be a long lasting situation if that sort of mindset is brought into it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I can relate, and thank you for it. thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
If you guys have any questions, sorry, please do start asking. I can start putting them to Stephanie. Someone said, yeah, that can be deceptive going by the numbers. I guess they're talking
Numbers.
about
Followers,
maybe
yeah, number of
followers.
followers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone mentioned you earned your stripes. It's not gloating if you're showing your
Your
pedigree
pedigree,
as evidence, as relating to what you spoke about earlier. So thank you guys. Keep the comments coming. Someone else said, rest on your laurels. Some don't even have laurels to rest on. You're so right. We need to be more purposeful. Lovely. Thank you guys. Please do keep up with the comments and drop your questions if you do have any. I'm sure it's going on. I think I kind of zoomed in on my face. Okay, there we go. That's so I want to just stay on What Next Coach for now, and I want to talk about the subscription business model. I know that it's a model that's really sort of popular abroad, but in Nigeria, not so much. I feel like we have a mindset, you know, like in the UK, I think of direct debit. You know, if you have direct debit every month, a certain amount comes out of your account for that product or service. But I found that as Nigerians, we are more skeptical. Maybe it's to do with we don't want our card to be scammed or fraud, or I don't know. But there seems to be people that just, I will pay next month. Hey, I will pay next month. Okay, no problem. No need to, you know,
can I just transfer?
Can I just transfer? Yeah, exactly. So I want to talk about how you've been able to, in terms of marketing, the service of What Next Coach, the membership platform. How have you been able to sort of imbue trust in the SMEs that you're working with in terms of getting them to sign up to the platform?
Yeah. Okay. The question is, have I? We're being honest, right? So when I say have I, it's not like I'm not doing anything, but you know, like I don't know if this has been a barrier for me, but I think it is. So if we backtrack to 2018, actually, the first time when I set up something similar, like it used to be called the What Next Coach Business Hub. So I set that up in 2018. At that point, right? Some of the other SME or career or like entrepreneur hubs we see now were not actually like there. So I was kind of just moving with an idea that I had. And I was surprised, funny enough, that at that point I felt that my marketing was actually the barest minute. I didn't go into anybody's DMs, and it was actually way easier for me to sign up people. I don't know why that was. But then I started it, and it was just me at that point managing it. And then I started it around like July 2018. But then things were ramping up with wedding planning, etc. Because my wedding was October that year, and I was back and forth, you know, moving all. So it was really difficult at some point. And then, but after I got married, by December, I found out I was pregnant, and I'd had enough. Like, I was so tired. I just moved countries, then I was moved states, so too many things were happening. And then on top of that, which is where we're going to talk about the subscription model and doing it in Nigeria, our infrastructure is not really set up. So you'd have cases where I'm using Paystack, and even the bank is rejecting people's cards. So people have let their cards to even be debited, or their accounts be debited, but banks will just and you won't realize this until like months after that someone's just been there for free, because you have to wait till you find time to audit the numbers and everything. So I put a pause on it, because I was like, okay, I'm not even in a position to actually make this what I want it to be. And everyone was like, oh, you shouldn't leave it, but I couldn't deal. And that's the honest. Sometimes in business, you have to make decisions that are best for you, because as the owner, whatever's happening with you, if you're not careful and you don't have the right support system or structure, it will eventually anyway affect the business. So that was an issue. And at that point, we were doing monthly subscriptions. You know, it was like 1K a month. So you'd find that people would, like, something will happen with cards, or, you know, people will know on purpose that they haven't paid, but they would still be, you know. So I just said, I need to pause this, and I'll come back to it at another time. Then the whole of 2019, I was off anything to do with work. I just took a whole year of maternity leave, pretty much from when I found out I was pregnant. I said, I can't think like this. So I left it. So then coming back, you know, I then realized, oh my God, I've come back now, and there's other communities. I now have competition, which I didn't have before. So that's what made me say, if I'm going to do this again, I have to make sure that I pack in as much value. There has to be a differentiator for what I'm doing. So that's when I started thinking, what brands can I partner with to bring something in? What people can I bring on board as advisors? What else can we offer? What discounts can we give people and still be profitable and maintain a good price point? Because you still have to at least make money. It's that we're not using Telegram or WhatsApp. We're using a proper like platform, which costs money as well.
Okay.
So all those things came into play. Now, when you talk about marketing it, why I feel it's harder now is because there are other subscription-based communities already. So my target audience is already probably in one or two, and it's a harder sell. And there's two things I find: either they really like where they are and just think I don't need another one, or they're not getting the benefit from one, so they've just decided we're all the same. So it makes it harder. So that's why I have to use approaches like going to people personally, so that if they look at it, if they even consider it, they can ask me questions directly, and I can, try my best to let them know, look, this is what you need. So, and those dialogues are happening. So it's a slow burn. Also because, like I said, I've been out of the game for a year, so it's pretty much like starting again. So that's the first, so that's the first part of it. Now, when we talk about the infrastructure around running a subscription-based model, I'm pro efficiency, so I like to automate things as much as possible. I like if you're coming to buy something from me, that you don't need to talk to me to purchase that. So if I just talk you through a little bit of how, so if you actually go on our website, you're interested in the membership, there's two options. You click either you want to pay per quarter or you want to pay annual. It will take you straight to the relevant pay stack link. Once you pay, the next thing is it'll bring up a Google form you will then just input your information so we know a bit about you. And then once you complete that form, it gives you the link straight to the platform. You can do it without talking to anybody.
Perfect.
And then you get on the platform. And so things like that. So I've had to work that system out. Now, what I'm doing differently now in comparison to before is I did monthly and annual. Now I'm doing quarterly and annual. That's more from the efficiency perspective, and so that I'll be able to do proper audits. Because imagine trying to do monthly audits when you have like 1,000 subscribers, it's a lot harder. But if I'm doing quarterly, at least for now, before the numbers pick up, it's easy for me to trace where there's issues, people haven't paid, etc. People's banks have rejected payments, etc. Things like that. So that's what I'm now doing differently. So we don't, our systems, and because we also don't have the suitable platforms that integrate with our own Nigerian platforms, I'm having to do a lot of like chop and change, but I found a sequence that works. So that's the infrastructure part. But the marketing really is just, got to keep pushing. Got to let people know it's there. Be in their face about it. Not in their face, but you know what I mean? Like, let it be there. Run sponsored ads. Put it on my WhatsApp status so people know this is there. Those sorts of things. Just keep pushing. That there's no other way around it.
Interesting. So as you were talking, two things came to mind actually. One of them is, do you work with sort of, I guess, business influencers? I guess that's kind of what you're doing now. But influencers in the business space who people know, like, oh, these are business savvy people, or they talk about finance, they talk about, digital marketing, they talk about SMEs, talk about taxation. Have you tried, working with them in order to amplify, what you're doing currently? And secondly, I'll just ask you the same time because they're kind of related.
That's fine.
Has the COVID environment sort of helped what you're doing? Because I've noticed that obviously people are now more receptive of, online learning and, Instagram. I see like 10 Instagram lives whenever I open up my app. It's crazy. But there's a lot of that going on as well. So it seems it's kind of fast tracked, like I said, the acceptance of digital
the acceptance of digital stuff.
Yeah. So how's that been for you?
The first question, so have I used business influencers? So, like I said, the ella that I have chopped on this journey is hot. The ella I have chopped on this journey is hot, Tallulah. I have approached people, but it's the same thing. If someone looks at me and thinks they're the big fish, I'm the small fish, there's nothing I can do about it. All I just have to pray is that they look upon me with favor and they say, you know what, go for it, right? So in my own little way, what I have done is, at least for those who are maybe more of micro influencers. I've been able to pull a few of them on to be advisors in the community. So I've been doing this Meet the Advisor series on our Instagram page. So at least it's like a penetration strategy. So their audience gets to know the first phase. And if they see that someone they trust is essentially endorsing this platform, we're hoping that it will yield something, right? So on that basic level, yes, I have approached those that I would consider micro influencers. With the others, honestly, I found it to be a bit difficult because it's also quite a cliquey environment, and that's fine. It happens. But I have definitely reached out. I've gotten more no's, a lot more blanking, like not even a response. I've had people tell me, you know, do you not know how much my time is worth? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I was not even insinuating that your time is not worth anything. I've had so many types of responses, right? So if it's trying, yes, I have. There are other bigger people I would like to reach out, but you know, I have to go lick my wounds for a while and decide when I'm ready to approach some of them again. That's the truth, right? Then have I found that COVID? So yes and no. Because one, my target audience, which is SMEs, are the worst hit by COVID, first of all, money-wise. So even with seemingly affordable fees, their issue is not it's expensive. I've not had anybody tell me it's expensive. It's just, it's an either-or thing. Everybody's, you know, thinking, and it's going to happen even more with the recession coming. Like, should I not? Is this really disposable for me at this time? Right. So in that aspect, no. But yes, there's definitely more attention being paid, right? Which is the first step in your marketing. You've created some awareness. There are more people aware. There are more people saying, okay, I'm listening. There are more people who wouldn't have noticed the Instagram ad because they're not spending as much time on the platform as before. But now, like, they'll pick it up. So in that sense, yes. But again, it's a slow burn. That's just it. It's a slow burn, and it comes in the territory. I was expecting it. So I was mentally prepared to do the work in that sense. So it's been a bit of a balance on both sides. But yeah, people are trickling in bit by bit. I'm actually always surprised when they do trickle in. Like, oh, hello.
Nice to see you. Yes, I understand. I think people are being, like you said, extra cautious about any sort of non-essential spending that they're making at the moment. And even though, you know, with your service, I can see it being, it is an essential in the sense that, you know, having a community and being able to bounce ideas and being able to get advice is something that is very valuable. But I think, you know, sometimes I think with entrepreneurs, you guys correct me in the comments if you think the same as me. You just, I can just Google this thing now. You know what I mean? There's a bit of that. I have a bit of that as well. I'm sometimes skeptical to pay for stuff. And I think unless it's really cheap, you know, if it's like 2K, like, okay, it's 2K.
It's 2K, it's fine. It's
not going to, you know, change my life in any way. I'd probably just spend that on something, KFC or something.
Right.
But, you know, if it's a little bit more than that, then people tend to start thinking about the purchase a bit more. So I'm really happy.
Yes, and just another point to add, which is, you know, it is going to require an attitude shift, because you mentioned, like, in the UK, people are aware of these things to that degree. When people see what I'm offering, I get a lot of questions. Okay, how do I know it's a benefit for me? Because people are looking at it like maybe they think we're just going to be like, I don't know, constantly teaching but. So there's also going to be a bit that I have to do more on the education piece of just saying, look, these are the benefits of a community. And because it's quite intangible, you know, it's one of those things people really have to, like, feel in here, you know. So I have to do my best to say, okay, so if with some of, like, the promotional material that we have, you know, it will be things like get answers to your most pressing business questions, or, you know, learn from the experience of people who've been there. It's more of the emotive sort of selling side of things than there's no tangibility, right? And also, like you said, while people are open to the online learning environment and all of that, there's also been a bit of an overkill for people. So I know someone who really who thought of applying to, like, this Forbes accelerator that's ongoing, but they said, look, I have so many courses and I've been to so many, I've not even implemented half of what I've learned. So people are like, I'll come back when I had the chance. So there's a bit of that, and that's all external environment that I can't control. My work is just to put it out there, keep putting it out there, so that the people who want it, when they want it, know that we're still available. So yeah,
it's open and it's available. Fantastic. So let's talk about funding, because I feel like especially in Nigeria, you hear, although it's changing now, because there's the CBN, the relief loan, I think it's called, and there's some other things that have come up in the last few months to help SMEs sort of, scale and all the rest of it. But before that, it was pretty difficult for SMEs to access funding to grow their businesses. They'd approach banks, and the interest rates is always crazy. I've heard 25%, 20%. And then even with that, you have to have some form of collateral, whether it's a house, a deed or something like that. So it's been pretty tough. And you'll know that to scale, it's, like you said, I love what you said at the very beginning of our chat, which was that before you start thinking about, I'm just laughing because I'm remembering something. Anyway, before I think I've just made friends on this IG live, you guys. It's hilarious. But before you start thinking,
call me later, Taluba.
Trust me, I might very well do that. You have to have money before you can hire people, before you can do all these fancy things that you're told to do in all these different business courses. So money is really at the root of everything that your business can and will achieve. So how can entrepreneurs, access? This is the real question I always ask, and I rarely get a straight answer, but I'm hoping you can give us a straight answer here today. How can we access funding?
How can you access funding? Wanting a straight answer means that the Nigerian business environment is straight, and it's not. So I'm going to try to give you the straightest possible answer. Okay. I mean, the usual generic answer is, how can you access funding? You can access funding a variety of ways. You can get a bank loan, you can get a grant, you can apply for certain things, right? We get that.
Yeah.
But here's what I find to always be a barrier. The SMEs are not funding ready.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Nobody is going to dash you money. Okay? And so the fundamental thing is that the SMEs are not ready. They haven't sat through, like I said, especially we are entrepreneurial in Nigeria, but the level at which we're entrepreneurial can be a bit of a problem, because we have so many people in the entrepreneurial sector, so to speak, and they're all trying to, it's more of a I want to blow thing. And so when you're trying to blow, your mindset of how you're trying to build a business that is, attracting funding, it's not going to flow through, because you're trying this, and there's nothing, right? There needs to be some staying power. There needs to be some track record. So remember the example I gave of the lady who wants the machines to clean the chickens.
Yeah.
And have you even tried to generate some kind of a cash cycle? So can you show that there is some viability in this? A lot of times, the money that SMEs want is to fund working capital, not to scale. And honestly, if you're looking for money consistently to fund working capital, then there is a problem with your business model. There is a problem with the viability of what you're selling. And it starts from there. Even if you go to a bank, because now you can find that some banks try to have SME friendly packages with single digits and all that. But the truth of the matter is that, so you hear the bank saying, SMEs are lacking structure. Like I said, it's the buzzword. And it's true, because many people start with, I'm passionate about this, I can do this, let me start the business, without realizing there's a business behind the business. And if that's not done, nobody wants to invest in something that they're not sure where it's going. That's the honest truth. So if you want to access funding is everywhere. Money, Tallulah, is everywhere. I'm telling you this because people are getting money. But you have to prove that you can pay back, and that they'll get a good return, and that your business is actually making money. If you go set up a business just because the next person is doing it, and you just invest your whatever small money you have, and you're not even able to generate on a basic level, you're not making any sort of consistent sales, how are you going to prove to somebody that you can pay back? Like, it's not rocket science. Like, and I try to explain this thing. People don't get it. Like, there was a lady that reached out to me in my network. She saw a video that I did on my consulting business side. And she's part of an angel investor network. So they fund in female-owned businesses. I'm telling you, people have money to give. They wanted to fund this lady, right? ShopRite had given her like contracts for 9 of their stores. She does like bread and juices and stuff.
Okay.
And why they reached out to me is because they all have their day jobs. They're just part of a network of female and angel investors, right? They reached out to me because they were considering putting that woman with someone who will help her sort out the administrative side of things and the financial side, because they wanted to invest in her so that she can meet the ShopRite orders. But
can you tell us how
closer,
much they wanted to invest? Can we have an idea of the figure if you don't?
They didn't tell me. But if you're going to do 9 ShopRite stores, it will be quite a bit.
Okay, yeah.
It will be quite a bit. Yes. But they were willing to even pay me, so, and then when they give her investment, they'll just deduct my pay from that, right? Because for ShopRite to see you, I want to give you that 9 of their stores to supply to, then there's something there. But
of course,
the back end, even when she has big orders, you're doing things like bread and your customer is expecting a supply today and you don't get it sorted, and they're asking her, okay, how will you do with this bread that you didn't do? And she's like, oh, I'll just send it tomorrow. There's a casual laissez-faire. So when someone seriously wants to put money in the business and they can't see on paper, it's problematic. That's just the truth of the matter. So accessing funding is not as difficult as it is if only businesses have the right things in order. And sometimes as well, people, like I said, they're mostly trying to fund working capital. They're not trying to fund growth. Right? Because remember, we saw you have to start with sales, then make profit before you start thinking of order, then impact and legacy. So the truth is, there's money available everywhere. Also, I know we do have an information problem. A lot of things are not out there, but I'm telling you, if you carry a well documented sort of, I don't know if I'd call it a plan or anything, but just have that in line and give it to the right people, you'll find that money will come out. I'm telling you, because people are getting money every day.
Amen. Amen. I love this money will come out, because I hear money will come out. We pray that money we pray that money comes out. And on this same topic of money coming out, I want to refer to something you said, because you guys, please ask your questions, or else I'll just be asking, and we have about another 10 minutes to go. So please do.
Doesn't it cut off after an hour? Okay, wait. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in about 9 minutes. So let me
just we didn't start. Yeah, we didn't start 5 exactly.
Oh, there's already questions. Sorry, you guys. It was me that hadn't clicked the question. Okay, there's already questions. So let me go straight in. So Nkechi Review says, how did you decide it was time to go from free content to putting a price on your services and products?
How did I decide? When I started seeing there was demand, so again, that abuse to access. So I was like, okay, clearly you guys see something here, because everybody is now calling. And once people just got, there was that demand of, okay, come and speak to this. I'll just give you my rate card, and that's that. If you value it enough to pull it in, then you should pay for it. Did it mean that I lost something? Yeah, but did I lose anything if you're not going to pay me? I know what I can do, so why stress myself, right? So, and you find that other people too will agree to pay. They said, you know what, you're right. Or when people invite me to speak, they say, look, maybe we can't give you this fee, but we're already going to give you some kind of monetarium or something. And I'm like, okay, at least you value the fact that there is knowledge here. So once I started seeing that there was a demand for, people were asking, people had access to me. So you see people literally sending me business plans. Please, can you review I'm like, the audacity. Do you know what it means for me to review your business plan? Clearly, you guys have taken me for a mug. So it's time to work out a price list. People will come here, and from a conversation, this whole let me pick your brain. From a conversation, they start giving me, and I'm like, it's time to charge you guys. So once
money has to come out.
I was like, oh, that would be, before they start, okay, great. Okay, a session with me actually costs, then we take it from there. Because you want to eat. Me too, I want to eat now.
Of course, yeah.
Maybe food is expensive. So so once I realized that there was that demand and it was coming, I said, you know what, it's time to put a price.
Lovely. Thank you. I think that answered your question, Nkechi. Nkechi has another question, and she says, how does one go about creating a community of clients where the target clients are one another's competitor? Okay, I guess how do you lure away clients from your competitors? to your community?
My understanding of that question, though, Tallulah, is maybe because I also know a bit of, I know Nkechi a little bit. I know what she does. So my understanding is you want to create a community of it. So more for herself, but community with your clients. So let's say she works with like businesses in the hospitality sector. So you want to have a community giving all those people the same benefit. It's just that they're competitors.
Okay.
In Nigeria, I don't know. I don't know how that would work, especially if you're dealing with the bigger guys. But I think starting with like, oh yeah, she said yes, Steph, you're right. So I think if you start with something as basic as a newsletter, right? So you have all your usual clients, just every week or something, just send them like an email of tips, right? See what the engagement is like, start from there little by little. Then when you see based on what they're responding, when you're getting feedback from them, if they're finding value in what you're doing, you can now see what comes out of it, like where you see that they might find that valuable. So if it's a community that doesn't really pitch them against themselves, and they might find that a bit more, acceptable, right? So it will be based on your communication with them. If I'm honest, I wouldn't be able to just say this is the best way to do it, because you will know their attitudes better, and you know that they see each other as competitors, and they know you're working with all of them. So it's just to find out what they will find, what they will consider valuable, and see if you can package that, even if it's not a community membership, or even if it's giving them a certain type of like service every month that they pay for, that sort of thing. So that, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where they realize, you're actually helping our competitors. Should we really be working with you? You don't want to be that person and then box yourself out. So maybe start with a newsletter, be help sharing tips, getting feedback from them, and then see what they find to be valuable and start looking at how to package that. These things is when you start, you see what people want, and then you work it into some kind of package. That's what I'd say.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I think we've got about 4 minutes. I had another question about, investment and not being in the fintech space. Maybe you could answer that in like a minute or so. I tend to find that a lot of companies that come to Nigeria, they want to invest with all their dollars. They usually tend to gravitate towards companies in the fintech space. So I think, what can companies who are not in that space do to also attract investment, if they've done everything you've already mentioned, such as getting your books in order, your accounting, having your figures, having your business plan, having your slides? What else can they do?
So when you say investment, I know like with the fintech tech space is mostly venture capital, right? That they tend to get. And venture capitalists generally fund high growth companies, which is why they go to tech guys, because tech guys, once they get like X number of subscriptions, they hack that growth, they can easily sort of make the VC's money back. So that's why there's that attraction. So it all boils down to just finding the best investor for your type of business, right? Even if it's not a VC, there are other normal people, actually, like angel investors, like giving large amounts of money if you can show what you're doing. Another way is, if you're running a certain type of business, can you techno it? Can you make it more techy? So use tech more, because tech companies are just doing what everyday companies do, and they've just found ways to make tech the main delivery, right? So compare your everyday accountant, bookkeeper with a Wave or a Sage or QuickBooks, right? The only difference is one is tech and has made it a tool that is deployable elsewhere, and one is it's me and my team doing it. Which one scales faster? The tech. Because wherever I am, you can use this tool that we've created. But if you want to hire me, it's where I am, or in your close location, or in your country with the regulations, etc. So it's really, can you put more tech into what you're doing?
Okay, Steph, sorry, I'm so sorry. I have to stop you. Instagram's telling you 58 seconds. So What Next Coach, what is the URL, please?
whatnextcoach.com/membership.
Fantastic. whatnextcoach.com/membership. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this live. Thank you, Stephanie, for opening our eyes to the world of possibilities in the SME space. You guys can connect with Stephanie over on Instagram at whatnextcoach. Am I right?
Yes.
And watch us, Smartpreneur, on Saturdays at 5:45 on TVC. You guys, please do watch. Keep following us, and we'll be live. I'll be live again with you on Thursday at 5 p.m. Stephanie, you
Great.
have 17 seconds. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, just thank you for having me. I'm really, really grateful. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you guys so much. This will be on our
Oh,
IGTV.
and join the community.
It's very affordable, actually. How much is it? Oh, we're gonna be cut off. Bye.